Hello and welcome to 10 out of 10 News. I'm Jeremiah Gerlach and this is my co-host, Stephen Wise. The political climate is as hot as ever, with the president being examined over the allegations of violating the terms of the presidency, and many politicians are calling for his impeachment. Tonight, we're going to take a closer look at what the average American thinks on the subject of the impeachment of Donald Trump.
Yep, that's right. In fact, over a few days, our team put together a comprehensive polled an astounding 40 people all over the country, and established data on exactly what the average American thinks about the impeachment of Donald Trump. There were some responses that surprised us, and some that reflected public opinion. Nonetheless, tonight we would like to share with you the results of a few questions in particular, and maybe provide clarity for your world.
The whole goal of our poll was to establish what people knew and thought about the impeachment process in general. But one key question at the end of the poll asked, does Donald Trump deserve to be impeached? There were 3 responses that could be given, yes, no, and not sure.
So this question was put in to distill the opinions, views, and knowledge which had been displayed earlier in the poll. Our sample was divided on its opinion as follows. 29% said no, 24% said not sure, and 46% said yes. Earlier in the poll, we asked people how they felt about Trump's possible impeachment. Only 36% said that the sooner the better, meaning that a higher amount thought that Trump deserved to be impeached, but not as many were looking forward to it. To get a little insight into the thought process behind this opinion, our field correspondent, Adolfo, has found an average American asking these few questions.
Here at 10 out of 10 News, we wanted to get a better picture of what sort of news sources our respondents were getting their information from, because this can determine the view that they have of the political landscape. We asked them if they got their primary source of news from either news on TV, friends and family, a phone app, or newspaper/radio. 22% said news on TV, 9.8% said friends and family, another 22% said newspaper/radio, and a whopping 46.3% said that their phone app was their primary source of news.
But even though more people use their readily available phone to access the news than any other platform, the amount of time usually spent delving into the news by our respondents does not reflect the ease of access granted by our phones. We asked how often a deep dive was taken by each of our respondents to delve into a news story and research it on their own. Surprisingly, only 4.9% respondents take a mere 10 minutes out of their day for this purpose. 34% take time out of their week to delve into a news story. 41% will do this once a month, and 19% will do this approximately once a year at most. This conveys to us how little time is spent, besides reading headlines, when it comes to news stories by the average American.
Another interesting component of news habits we asked our respondents about was the sources that they trusted when it came to news outlets. We gave as options the most popular TV news sources as well as an online resource: the BBC, Fox News, CNN, and the New York Times. It was no surprise when 56.1% named the BBC as the most accurate and unbiased news source. 19.5% said it was Fox News. Another interesting component of news habits we asked our respondents about was the news sources that they trusted when it came to outlets. We gave as options the most popular TV news sources as well as an online resource: the BBC, Fox News, CNN, and the New York Times. It was no surprise when 56.1% named the BBC as the most accurate and unbiased news source. 19.5% said that it was Fox News, 17.1% named the New York Times, and only 7.3% found the CNN to be the most trustworthy out of these news sources. This is somewhat ironic because Feedspot.com, a website that combines and prepares a personalized newsletter for subscribers, lists CNN as the most popular website, according to metrics. To talk more about news habits, we will go to our field correspondent, Adolfo, who has found another average American.
There have been many allegations against Trump, many of which, if proven true, would result in his impeachment. The most recent allegations, and the subject of the whistleblowing situation, arises from activity involving the Ukraine. The scandal revolves around Trump attempting to get Ukraine to provide damaging narratives about Joe Biden, who is one of the 2020 Democratic Party presidential candidates. Apparently, Trump enlisted surrogates within and outside of his administration, including his lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, and the Attorney General, William Barr, to pressure Ukraine to cooperate in supporting conspiracy theories concerning American politics. Trump blocked but later released payment of a congressionally mandated military aid package to obtain cooperation from the president of Ukraine.
The reason Trump was interested in Ukraine at all was because in 2014, Biden's son, Hunter, had joined the board of Ukrainian gas company that was under scrutiny because of possible corruption. At the same time as Joe Biden was in Ukraine as an emissary in constant communication with the corrupt Ukrainian government. Trump believes that Joe Biden was put in a compromising position where he had to choose between duty and his son, and Trump thinks that Joe Biden is a family man. So we asked our respondents if they thought action was merited by Trump regarding action in Ukraine. A heavy majority, 68.3, declared it was hard to say, displaying either a lack of knowledge on the subject or a lack of clarity in terms of where investigation is merited in difficult situations. 17.1% said that action by Trump was definitely needed, and 14.6% said it was definitely not merited. The question proved to be a tough one, as only 31.7% were even comfortable voicing their opinion.
The situation in Ukraine is what the left is using to call for the impeachment of Trump, but it is not the first opportunity that has arisen. The first possible basis for Trump's impeachment was his meddling with the 2016 election. The second is possible violation of the emolument clause, which reads, "No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of the Congress, except of any present emolument, office, or title of any kind, whatever, from any king, prince, or foreign state." U.S. Constitutional Article 9, Clause 8. We asked our respondents if in their opinion Trump had in any way violated this clause. This question also proved to be difficult versus the previous one, but more were willing to confidently voice their opinion. 46% replied that it was hard to say, 34% replied that he was definitely in violation, and 19% said that he was definitely in violation of the clause. To give us a little more insight into what the public thinks about these issues, here's Adolfo.
Finally, we wanted to examine what the average American actually knew about impeachment process and its history. And thus, we had several questions to establish how much people actually know just off the top of their head. We first asked our respondents if they knew how many presidents had actually been impeached, and gave several possible answers for them to choose from. They did well. 80.5% declared the correct number of 2, which leaves 19.5% who are not aware of the number of presidents who have been impeached.
We then upped the ante and asked them if they knew exactly which presidents had been impeached and removed from office, and gave them the options of Richard Nixon, Bill Clinton, Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton, Andrew Johnson and Richard Nixon, or none. Their responses were 34% said Richard Nixon and Bill Clinton, 14% said Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton, 19% said Andrew Johnson and Richard Nixon, and 31% said none. The correct answer is none, meaning that 68% of our respondents are unaware that no president has ever actually been removed from office after they were impeached. Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton were the presidents who have been impeached, but neither one of them were removed. Johnson came incredibly close, however, because during the final trial, determining whether or not he was to be removed from office, he remained in office by 1 vote.
The tone then switched from testing our respondents' knowledge of the history of impeachment to testing their knowledge of what impeachment technically is. We asked them to pick the correct definition of impeachment out of 4 possibilities. 61% were able to correctly identify the definition. 17.1% think it is a formal charge of misconduct with guaranteed removal from office. 4.9% think it is a public denouncement of a person holding public office, and 17.1% think it is a criminal charge against someone holding public office.
Finally, we asked under what circumstances someone should be impeached. They were given 5 possible responses. 22% said if a person has committed a felony, they should be impeached. 2.4% said that if a person makes unwise decisions, they should be impeached. 0% said if the person has acted immorally, they should be impeached. 29% said if the person has committed a felony or misdemeanor, they should be impeached. 46% said if they did all the above, they should be impeached. Adolfo, our field correspondent, is on site with an average American to hear about their knowledge of impeachment.
It's really fascinating. It is so refreshing to hear the voice of the American public. Our conclusion from the poll we orchestrated is that America could do with more education on the actual subject of employment. It is also apparent that for either one of the reasons we gave or for some other reason, the public would like Trump to be impeached. However, their opinion is almost definitely going to be altered somewhat by their primary news source, according to our poll, be it one of the very popular ones or one of the more indie news groups.
All in all, we're very pleased and fascinated by the outcome of our poll, and we thank all of our respondents for taking the time out of their day to answer our 20 questions. And up next, we'll explore Dr. Oz's budgeting tips to lose weight in your wallet.